naturally focus your attention? Your knee? And that makes complete sense. If something hurts, we naturally want to understand what's happening there. And sometimes the problem really is the knee. There may also be something happening within the knee itself that needs to be addressed and treated. So I'm not suggesting the knee pain should simply be ignored. And I'm definitely not suggesting that every knee problem is caused by something somewhere else. But the knee doesn't work in isolation. Your knee is part of a whole movement system. So when I'm working with someone who has knee pain, I often want to understand more than just where they feel the pain. How is the hip moving? How are the muscles around their hips working? How is the ankle moving? What is happening through the foot? And what happens to the whole leg when someone walks, climbs stairs, stands up from a chair, or exercises? Sometimes I'll have a client do a movement that's causing them discomfort. Then we might explore something elsewhere in the body. Perhaps we look at how the hip is moving. Perhaps we work on the muscles around the hip. Perhaps we work on strength or control. Then we try the original movement again. And sometimes the client says, "Oh, that feels different." And I love that moment. Not because it means we've discovered a magical answer, but because we've learned something. It's changing something somewhere else, changes how a movement feels, that gives us useful information. Now, I want to be really clear about something. This doesn't mean that every knee problem comes from somewhere else. Sometimes the knee itself is the main source of the problem. Sometimes the knee needs specific assessment and treatment. And sometimes there may be more than one thing going on. And sometimes we need to look at more than one thing. Our movement connection. The way our hip moves can influence the way your leg moves. The way your ankle and foot move can also influence what happens further up the leg. And the muscles around the joints all have a role to play in how we move and support ourselves. The body is connected. That doesn't mean every ache and pain has a simple explanation, and it certainly doesn't mean that one particular muscle is always the answer. But sometimes looking only at the place that hurts doesn't give us the whole picture.